Welcome back to the Sportsnaut interview, and we stay right here in my hometown of Cincinnati. We talked to Charlie Goldsmith of the Cincinnati Enquirer about the Bengals. The Bengals 3-1 since Joe Burrow went out for the season with an injury thanks to Jake Browning and a spirited performance. The Bengals sit at 8-6, the sixth seed in the AFC playoffs. 3 games remaining, including a big one this weekend against the Steelers. And Charlie, we got to talk about this team. I mean, the resilience of this team. Coming back, everybody sort of wrote off the Bengals when Joe Burrow got hurt. If you look at what they've been able to do over this stretch of time, is this perhaps Zac Taylor's best coaching job? Yes, he's gone to a Super Bowl and an AFC Championship game in 2 consecutive years, but talk about what he's done there and the character of this team getting through what they have this season.
Look at what, coaching's all about, to get kind of metaphoric and philosophical here. It's about player development. It's about evolving who you are to fit the culture of your locker room and to really fit the scheme that best suits your players. What the Bengals have done to develop Jake Browning and build an entire ecosystem around him, for a guy who is an undrafted free agent quarterback, who had never played in the league, who had had as many ups and downs in training camp as anybody, to be doing this, it's a reflection of, again, the way he's developed. It's the way they've set him up with their scheme. And it's a reflection of, now DJ Reader and Jamar Chase are battling injuries. They have a locker room and an atmosphere that's set up to be playing their best football in December and responding to these types of challenges.
Yeah, it's amazing what they've been able to do there. And you look at Jake Browning, I mean, it's hard to overlook his story, to your point about not having any experience to come in. And I think one of the things that people are so impressed with, I mean, you look at the numbers, it's historic what he's been able to do in his 4 games and 3 starts. But when you look at his demeanor, I think that's the thing that strikes people, Charlie, is when you watch the guy out there, he's cool and collected. Yes, he showed emotion in the Vikings game. And that Vikings game, to me, was sort of a microcosm of the Bengals season, right? Having to scrap back, come back, and make some incredible plays at the end to pull it out. Talk about that demeanor. Talk about what he's like off the field and how that translates to his performance on the field.
So this is why Jake Browning's here. Let's be real about Jake Browning and who he was coming out of college. This is a guy who, didn't light the world on fire in his pro day. A guy who doesn't have, standout athleticism or a 40-yard dash time. A guy who's not going to chuck the ball 60 yards down the field. But he set every single record in the playbook, or set every record in the book as a high school player with what he did in California. Came in as a freshman in Washington and did the exact same thing there. He was with exactly what the Bengals were looking for from a experience, from a winning football, from a managing the line of scrimmage and the locker room, executing audibles, being able to run a system in that type of way. That's the type of guy the Bengals want. They'll take that over the guy who runs the 4.3 40-yard dash and can chuck the ball 60 yards down the field. They'll take the Jake Browning type of guy. That's always been the type of quarterback they preferred. Burrow's obviously that on the highest scale, but Jake Browning is this version of that as well. He has every category or characteristic they prioritized, and now that he's here in the spotlight, he's ready for it.
Yeah, and he's really been, he's just taken to that offense. You can see from a cerebral standpoint, he's right in there. And as soon as he stepped in for Burrow in that Ravens game, even though that Ravens game didn't work out for Cincinnati, you could see he had command of the offense. And his teammates, too, rally around him, and that's important. Now, you look at the Bengals over the next few weeks, they close out the season rough, right? If they right now, I think they stand about 11% chance of winning. If they beat the Steelers this weekend, I think the percentage goes up to like 54 or something like that. But they have the Steelers this weekend, Chiefs next weekend, and the Browns, of course, in-state rivals, to close out the season. They lose DJ Reader last week, a big blow. When you look at the schedule, the next 3 weeks, what they have to do, it's hard to count them out, right, Charlie? Because every time somebody does, they seem to get off the mat.
This is a Bengals team they have so many, injuries. They've lost Burrow and Chase and Reader, probably their 3 most important guys. But, here's what Zac Taylor's saying, and there's probably some truth to this. The Bengals had, fewer OTA practices than anyone in the league. They did all this mental stuff in May and June over, these crazy physical camps like the Titans had or the Steelers had. They're a team that had a lighter end side of training camp as well. Zac Taylor has talked about they're the type of organization that prioritizes being as fast and as physical as they can in December It's a formula that's worked. There's a reason the Bengals have been in such good shape in December and January in each of the last 2 seasons. Yes, they're missing guys now, but you're seeing, guys across the board. Mike Hilton, the defensive line, even without DJ Reader. You're seeing Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard. You're seeing Jermaine Pratt. You're seeing T. Higgins. You're seeing the tight ends. Joe Mixon play their best football of the season right now. That's all happening for a reason.
Yeah, having fresh legs and that attrition seems to not hurt him. Now, you did mention Jamar Chase. What's the latest on Chase's shoulder injury? It looks like he's going to miss Sunday against Pittsburgh. What do they feel? Is he going to be able to get back on the field for the remainder of the season?
Just not enough information yet. They have to see how it heals. Again, NFL Network reported he's expected to miss this week. There isn't a sense, though, that it's a season-ending injury, talking to people.
That's good to know. So if you have to look at this schedule, what's remaining, what do you think happens this game against Pittsburgh on Sunday? There's a lot at stake here, Charlie. Not only the Bengals for their playoff life and continuing to go on this run they've been on with Jake Browning, but on the other side, the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, for the first time in his career, 17 years in Pittsburgh, is under pressure. It almost feels like the loser of this game has a lot to lose. What do you feel as you go into this game against the Steelers on Sunday?
For the second straight week, the Bengals will be facing a third-string quarterback, and that has to play in their favor. You saw the difference in the game on Saturday against the Vikings. Nick Mullins and Ty Chandler did some damage, but in the red zone, 2 huge turnovers, playmaking against a quarterback who's prone to make mistakes. Mason Rudolph was benched in 2019 by the Steelers because he's prone to make mistakes. I think that's going to be a huge difference in the game that could lean in the Bengals' favor.
That's great. Charlie Goldsmith of the Cincinnati Enquirer. Charlie, thanks. Hopefully we catch you in the playoffs.
Thank you.